Now, has the transition been hard for you, John, coming from
It was at first.
Yeah.
But I've adjusted to staying in Lubec because I've been coming to Lubec all my life, just like Dad has. He was in his 20s when he came here, but of course I've been coming here since the day I was born. And so I'm used to the town. Of course, the town has changed completely since when I was a kid. There's your pipe, sir.
Thank you.
And but when I first moved up here from the city, it was a major adjustment. You know, in a big city, of course, I'd lived down there for 17 years. I had a lot of friends. I also had a number of relatives down there, and there was everything to do.
Did you have a job?
Yeah, I worked in different department stores when I was down there.
Okay.
But there were museums and theaters and movie theaters and restaurants and you name it, all kinds of historical sites. And of course, it's much quieter in Lubec.
Much.
And I didn't know the town anymore. It had changed so much since the time I came here regularly that I really didn't know the town anymore. And I had to sort of start from scratch, even though the landscape was familiar. And now it's like it seems to have some hypnotic effect over people. I don't know what it is. But you settle in here for a while and you don't want to go anywhere at all.
Now, is that true? You guys don't really go anywhere?
We don't go anywhere.
No.
Well, let me ask you this. Have you... Whiting is the next town over. When was the last time you were in the next town over?
Well, I've gone to Machias a couple of times.
But somebody drove you.
Yeah, I don't drive outside of Lubec.
He had to go to Machias to see a doctor. But as far as the last time we actually drove out of Lubec, I think it's been a couple of years.
Yeah, I think so, yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And I used to drive back and forth to Bangor very casually, but it's too much of a ride for me now.
Right.
Besides, John worries that my reactions aren't quite what they used to be.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Well, sir, anything else you'd like to discuss?
You've interviewed a lot of different people, I can
Quite
imagine.
a few, yes. A few notables.
Okay, notables. Give us name drop for us.
Yeah. Well, remember the comedian Edward Everett Horton?
Edward.
Edward Everett Horton.
Jeez, I don't.
He made movies in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s.
Well, that was an interesting one. And I interviewed Veronica Lake.
Oh, I do remember her.
Yeah.
You interviewed her?
Yeah. And
Ooh.
that was at the Bar Harbor Playhouse.
And then you had that interview that didn't get on tape down in Bar Harbor.
What was she like? Because I know a lot of
Very
people...
reserved, very quiet.
She was?
Yeah.
Was she a big star when you interviewed her?
She was past her prime then.
Oh, she was past her prime,
Mm-hmm.
right? She died pretty tragically, I think.
I'm not sure.
I remember reading about her.
A lot of them did, Gino.
Yeah, you mean because when they lost their beauty,
Yeah.
the Hollywood just threw them out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they rejected them.
Rejected them.
I did an interview with an actor called Sonny Tufts. He was a comedian, more or less. But at the time, he'd been in a couple of movies, and I interviewed him on the deck at the Bar Harbor motel, and we're out there having a drink and talking. It was being taped. This dapper man came up from the place below and sat down with us. It was Mike Romanoff, the restaurateur from New York, who claimed to be a descendant of the Romanovs of Russia, royal family. Of course, no one ever believed him. But they started talking about Hollywood and various stars, and it was very revealing because they weren't too complimentary to some of them, how some of them got to stardom via the couch and other circuitous routes.
Do you remember any particulars?
They were talking about Marilyn Monroe,
Oh, okay.
primarily,
Oh, yeah.
implying that she made her way to the top by going to the bottom.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. But my favorite interview was, as John mentioned, was with Ralph Bellamy and Greer Garson. They flew to Bangor to ride to Campobello for sunrise at Campobello. And I thought, well, I'm wondering what these people are like. Extremely nice. Matter of fact, Bellamy says, I've got an exclusive for you. He says, right now the Actors Guild in New York are voting on something, and this is the result. So I had an exclusive on that.
Oh, that's great.
And Greer Garson, she's quite tall, beautiful woman, a little freckled. Of course, a beautiful English accent. And this is when we first had those small handheld tape recorders, so I pulled that out And she looked at it, she says, "Where did you get that little monster?" I asked her about being Eleanor Roosevelt and getting into the car. She slipped into Eleanor's voice. It was amazing. So incredibly like Mrs. Roosevelt. So that was probably my favorite interview.
That movie, that was a very popular movie.
Yes,
here.
it was.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Sunrise at Campobello.
That's right, and it was filmed here on the
It
island.
still gets shown on TCM.
Yes,
all the
that's
time.
right.
Yeah. So now, what's in store for the future for you guys? What are we looking forward to?
Living in Lubeck.
Well,
Well-
we're still performing.
Yeah, we're still performing. As long as someone's doing a show.
Is there anything you'd like to do, Eddie, before you die? Anything that you haven't done?
Well, I'd have to check off a few things that I haven't done. No, not really. As John says, I'd like to do a play with a serious role. I've always done light stuff, comedy and things like that, a little singing thrown in. But I doubt if it'll happen, but I'd like a real dramatic role that I could, as they say, sink my teeth into it.
Oh, that's great.
Yep.
Well, maybe somebody that sees this will be a talent scout, and they'll say, you know what? We got just the role for Eddie.
You remember Mary, George M. Cohen's song? You know George M. Cohen?
For it was
You're not much on the
Of course.
Okay, so
I
he
do
does
know
the
George
first verse, and then I come in on the second verse with him.
mean for it was Mary?
Mary, yeah.
For it was Mary, Mary, plain as any name can be. And with propriety, society would say, Marie.
For it was Mary, come on, Dad, Mary, long before the fashions came.
And there is something there that sounds so fair. It's a grand old name.
That's all, folks.
Oh dear, the Owen brothers.
Now, what's the story for the rest of the day?
Well, at first I have to go make some lunch for this guy.
Good for you. What are we having for lunch?
Today I think it's what, chicken, squash, peas.
Yeah, that's right.
Lots of good vegetables. That's what keeps you.
Always.
He insists on 2 vegetables at every meal.
Really? That's good.
Yes, fresh vegetables.